Colonial Sports Center.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Colonial Sports Center. My name is Kevin Plaucha. To my right is Cameron Macariola. Cam, we've got a lot on today's show. A little bit later, we've got a live roundtable discussing some lacrosse. But first, we've got to get to what happened recently. It's postseason time for the Colonial Athletics teams.
Yes, you know, as John Rothstein says, this is March, and let's take a look at how March went for the Colonials as they enter the first round of the Horizon League Championship Tournament. And RMU just finished their regular season at Purdue Fort Wayne just a few days before, stayed in Indiana, and we start off Anthony Roberts with a windmill dunk on top, setting the tone. Mastodons early, ladies and gentlemen, soak this in. This is the last time you're seeing it. Windmill dunk. What a play by Roberts. And then later on in the first half, it's a close game right now, 14-11, and you'll see TJ Wainwright take this ball with the steal, find Jackson Last running up court, kind of a football play, laying it up and in to bring it within one. But the Mastodons would slowly creep away from the Colonials as Hastings gets denied at the rim. And then the Mastodons work their way down the court and find Destin Whitaker in the corner, who nails the tray. And then, but Josh Corbin will answer back, and look at this, 33-14, 5 minutes since they last scored. Corbin in the corner gets one of his own to get the Colonials, trying to get them going, but it wouldn't work out too well. As you'll see here, missing the shot, Hastings gets it, finds Chris Kowiak, who finds TJ deep, nailing the three, 44-23, and just with a few seconds remaining, down 20. You'll see Hastings get the ball swatted away, but gets it and lays it in to cut the lead to 18 at half, and it's not looking good for the Colonials. 20 minutes to figure it out, to try and survive, and it'll be TJ Wainwright from the line, jumping, hits this jumper, cutting the lead. Slowly but surely, the Colonials clawing and fighting their way back. You'll see Hastings hits a three of his own, getting the bench going. The Colonials are going on a run. Now, Fulgaris with the steal, works its way down court. Corbin finds Hastings, who goes back out to Corbin, pump fake, drives in, and with this beautiful layup underneath the rim, and we're just at a 5-point game. Colonials clawing, scratching their way back, down 9 now, and it will be the Mastodons fighting and just getting away from the Colonials. But Wainwright gets the interception and one. Man, what a play by Wainwright. Taking a little look at this, drives in with the shoulder and the contact, but gets it in. He would miss that and miss out on that old school 3-point play. Now, the Colonials trying to get back. We see it back down 10 with 6 minutes. Corbin lays it up and in, fresh off an 1,000-point career for Corbin just a few weeks ago, scoring that 1,000-point last week. Now we have Quentin Morton Robinson, led the team for the Mastodons, and that one might be the dagger, but this is the true dagger. 1 minute left, down 13. Eric Molden shuts the door on the Colonials and their season. 78-63 is the finals, and Robert Morris men's basketball season comes to a close.
Tough loss for the men's team. They endured a lot of ups and downs this season, but their season ends there. Now, another team that's faced a lot of ups and downs, including a midseason coaching change, was the women's basketball team, but it was a clean slate as they traveled Tuesday to Detroit to take on the number 6 seed Detroit Mercy in the first round of the Horizon League tournament. We've got some highlights, and here they are. Colonials against the Titans, looking to put all those ups and downs behind them, kicking things off in the first quarter. Scoreless after a few minutes. Simone Morris gets the ball at the top of the key. Danielle Vuletic inside. The double team briefly comes, but it goes away just as fast. She uses that and lays it up and in off the glass for the first points of the game. Colonials up 5-3. Vuletic forces a steal. Simone Morris, right place, right time. She goes on the fast break. She goes all the way and lays it in. RMU up 7-3, and now up by 6. Micah Odell at the top of the key, drives the lane with the shot clock running out, gets blocked, gets her own rebound, and puts it in just in time. Colonials were up 8, now up just 6. Odell guarding Lucia Flete Robles, who goes to her left hand, gets by Odell, and lays it in. She finished with 8. Final seconds, first quarter. Irene Marua is going to battle against Vuletic. She's driving inside. Looks like she travels here, but no call. Scott Schneider wanted it. She lays it in, and it's tied at 13 after one frame. Second quarter. Opening minute of the second quarter. Shot clock winding down again. Morris gets a good screen from Paris Kirk. She hits that in rhythm 3. It's good. Colonials lead once again. Now, offense came at a bit of a premium for the next 5 minutes. Colonials scored just 3 points. Nice defense from Detroit Mercy. Better pass from Natalie Johnson. Whoop! By Danielle Vuletic, who lays it in. She finished with 15 points. Late first half, Colonials trying to stick around. Mayana Hooper, guarded by Alana, uses her pivot foot to great success. Lays it in. She wanted a foul. No call there. Titans led by 8, 32-24 at the half. Third quarter. Starting to slip away for RMU. Paris Gilmore makes a nice move here. She attacks Danielle Vuletic, goes right at her, and lays it in. It's a 13-point game now, largest lead of the game, forcing RMU to call a timeout. Still a double-digit deficit. Hooper, she tries to drive to the left side. Lane shut off. She finds Robles. Her 3 is up, and her 3 is good. A 14-point lead now for the Titans. Moving on to the fourth quarter, it's crunch time now for RMU if they want to keep their season alive. Naomi Barnwell finds Simone Morris outside. She debates what to do, gets a screen from Barnwell. Her jumper's good. The deficit's back to single digits. But time's just running out for RMU. Down 7 with 90 seconds left. Emma Trawali Porta gets the ball inside, finds Robles. She takes a 3, and the bank is open late. The dagger for RMU as they fall 59-48. Their season is also over after just one postseason game.
Yeah, some tough luck for the Hoops, a long losing streak, Kevin. Hopefully next year we start off the season with a win, get back into it. Whoever the coach may be, we'll see what happens. But this is March ain't just for the court, as ice hockey was in play, men's ice hockey at Bentley in Waltham, Massachusetts. Let's take a look at what happened there. You'll see the Colonials 4-3 in overtime. Let me walk you through this game. Colonials jump up 3-1 with 2 power play goals by Klimke and Johnson, and then St. Ange added on one more. But in the third period, the Falcons came back, tied the game. We go into overtime. Overtime was hectic. Chad Veltri got hurt for a little bit, was down and out. The goalie came on the ice, but he got sent back. Veltri stayed in. He was ready to go. And let's take a look at what happened for that game-winning goal. Seconds remaining in the fourth frame, and stolen puck by Cameron Garvey wraps it around into the yawning cage, sends the Colonials to Rochester, New York. What a play by Garvey. That earned him the Rookie of the Week honors in the AHA, Kevin. That was a crazy game. Crazy comeback for the Falcons, but Colonials managed to hang on.
Yeah, crazy win, and that definitely should have earned Cameron Garvey some sort of award. But Cam, that OT goal vaulted RMU into the quarterfinals of the AHA postseason tournament. We got to take a look at the bracket because the Colonials are still alive. Now, Cam, it's a tall task ahead for the Colonials as they now take on the number 1 seed RIT, who handily beat RMU in all 4 games in the regular season. It's best of 3 series now, all the way until the finals. Cam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a tough road ahead for the Colonials. Facing RIT, had a phenomenal season. We'll take a look at some of their stats in just a moment. But receiving votes, number 19 and number 20 in the prospective polls for college hockey. Now let's hop into those stats and look at just how good these Tigers are. 22-10-2 record on the season. Look at this. Stat leaders. Cody Lukowski, 13 goals, 25 assists. Carter Wilkie, 14 goals. And we could just go on. 14 goals, 15 goals, 15 goals. It's insane how many they got. 5 players with 10-plus goals, and 4-0 on the season against the Colonials, outscoring them a ridiculous 23-7. I believe that's the correct number.
Yeah, it's been just blowout after blowout every time RIT has played RMU. You saw 56 and 54 shots attempted. That was first and second throughout the whole season. A ton of work for Chad Veltri to do, and it's just really hard whenever the other team's putting up those kind of shot numbers.
Yeah, and it's going to be real interesting to see how Chad Veltri feels after that Bentley game. As I mentioned, he had this weird motion where he was going left to right, looked like he hit his right leg on the post, and he was down for a little bit. They had the backup goalie stretching, getting ready. It was a scary moment for the Colonials, but he stayed in the game, toughed it out, and picked up the win. But when we come back, Robert Morris Lacrosse is in action, and it hasn't been too bright for them. We'll have a roundtable discussion about what's going on with the program, but stay here on CSC.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Before we get to that lacrosse roundtable, we've got to look at what happened in this past week with the lacrosse teams. Both teams are in the final stretch of their non-conference slates. Just the other day, the men's team traveled to Charlottesville for a tough test as they took on the number 5 Virginia Cavaliers in what was their final game of non-conference action. Let's see how the Colonials fared in what was a really tough matchup. They would fall by a score of 16-7. Not a bad showing against a top 5 team. Grad student Ben Starkey led RMU with 2 goals. David Burr, whose praises were sung just a couple of weeks ago after a 7-goal game against St. Bonaventure, managed just 1 goal in this loss. Nate Fector had as many saves as goals allowed. His season totals now stand at 63 goals allowed to just 52 saves, a save percentage of .452. The dynamic duo of McCabe Millen and Peyton Cormier teamed up for 9 goals for the Cavaliers in their win.
Yeah, you got to feel for Fetcher getting peppered with shots there. But, you know, a good effort, 16-17, number 5 team in the nation. You can't be too hard on yourself on that performance. But they took on Hobart just days before. Let's take a look at how they fared against the Statesmen. 15-10 final. Elliot Holden, 4 goals. Ben Starkey, 3 goals. Fetcher, 5 saves, 11 goals allowed. And it was just Chris Patterson, 4 goals, 3 assists on the day. David Peterkin had a hat trick of his own, and with 10 saves on the day. Elhahen Wilson, and just a tough one for the Colonials to bite that one. They've had some great matchups against the Statesmen in the past. Really close games, usually decided within 2 to 3 goals, maybe 1 to 2 even,
right.
And just not getting the bounce they need this season so far.
Yeah, not the way that they wanted to end non-conference play. Those 2 losses dropped the men's team to 2-4 overall. Moving on to the women's team, they were looking to get off the schneid as they took their 0-5 record to Washington, D.C. to try and get their first win of the season and their first ever win against the George Washington Revolutionaries. Let's take a look and see how the Colonials did there. They could not get the win. They fall to 0-6 now overall with a 16-9 loss to George Washington. Senior Lily Haddon led RMU with 3 goals. Jerica Obi added 2 goals in the loss. Emma Nowakowski had 6 goals and 2 assists for the Revolutionaries, and Desiree Kleberg had a goal and 4 assists. As I mentioned, that drops the women's team to 0-6, winless on the season.
Now let's head over to Bethany Naughton alongside Amir Keesley and Sam Goldberg to talk about the struggles that RMU lacrosse is having so far this season. Bethany, take it away.
Thank you, Cam. And I'm here with Amir and Sam. How are you both today?
Doing pretty good.
Can't complain.
First question is going to go to Amir. What is the reason for the teams to struggle?
Well, first off, the men's team is struggling to score goals, which you need to do in the sport of lacrosse. First off, the team is struggling to score goals after they have posted 48 goals for their first 5 games compared to their opponents who have put up 78 goals over the last 5 games. And I feel like that is a huge issue, but here's the big point that I'm trying to get. They only have 2 players who are carrying them, which is Elliot Holden and David Burr. They both have double-digit goals, and I feel like they need more production on the offensive side to just do better. And I also feel like they need to do better in the man-up situations when they go on to the power play and whatnot. So they got a lot to work on, but I think they'll be good.
And on the contrary, for the women's team, they're giving up way too many free positions inside their own half, and they're just they always seem to be down a player in their own end as well, and just having those opportunities for your opponents, they just come in numbers. And right now, 0-6, it's one of the worst starts in program history for this for this team. To turn it around, they really need to get going offensively. I mean, the St. Francis game, I really thought they had an opportunity to turn it around. I mean, throughout program history, 13 wins, no losses. And to take your first loss this year against a team that you have absolutely dominated against, there's a lot of red flags so far for this team.
And Sam, can either team make a turnaround and win their conference?
This is going to be tough because usually I'm optimistic when it comes to Colonial Sports, but I mean, before they head into conference play, the women's team, I really want to see what they have against Mount St. Mary's and Queens, because they're practically on the level of MAC play, but depending on how those games go, I really don't see a turnaround here for the women's side going into MAC play.
And on the men's side, I feel like the team, they have all the pieces they need to have a successful team, but I feel like they'll make a turnaround with the squad they have. All they have to do is play consistent, score goals, and get on the board. But here's the point that I feel like is the deal breaker with it. A lot of the ASUN teams have been playing a little subpar, and I feel like if the Colonials want to get hot, they have to get hot right now. Because if they don't, they're going to go into conference play, and they're going to fall flat on their face. And this team cannot afford that, being, I believe, 1-4. So they just need to turn it around, and hopefully they do.
Another thing, too, is that they also need to finish off games, too. You can't take a loss like that to Canisius at home.
That game was rough.
Absolutely got to finish off games if you want to win in the ASUN.
And matter of fact, that loss to Canisius happened because of a penalty. If they didn't give up a penalty right there, that result might have not happened.
And Amir, who on the men's team should step up in scoring?
Obviously, Elliot Holden and David Burr have been holding their own and carrying the team on their backs, but I want to see more out of Eric Swaggerty, who is a senior. He is currently 4th on the team with 3 goals, and it will be very beneficial to have him produce more goals as the season goes. You need to get more out of your, senior and graduate players, and hopefully they can, be that spark for the younger players on that team, because that team has a lot of freshmen, and I feel like if everyone can get together and just mesh well, this team can do good things. So I feel like a little mix of the freshmen and a mix of like the older guys, I feel like that will be good for this team to start scoring.
And then Sam, final question. Should the women's team make a goalkeeping change?
So right now with Sydney Riker, she's dealing with a little bit of a right hand injury, but she still has started every single game. So I do think it is affecting her ability to make saves when she needs to. But overall, I feel like Sydney has played well with what's been given in front of her. There's been a lot of sloppy defensive play in front of her. I don't think it's time to go to a freshman goalkeeper in Megan Shepley. I feel like you have to ride Sydney Riker and just hope that the defense figures it out. Because as I said earlier, there's been way too many free positions and just too many man-down situations for the Colonials. I mean, if you're a goaltender, you can't stop everything. And if there's advantages and free positions, you absolutely cannot expect Sidney Riker to stop everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both so much for joining, and we're going to send it right back to Cam and Kevin.
Thank you, Bethany, Amir, and Sam. Well, Kevin, they just don't look like they have their aggression this year for lacrosse. But up next, Extras will be here to tell you all about it. Stay tuned just after this break on CSC.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. That's CSC women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. We're going to move things back outside again as we look at the softball team. Heading into this past weekend, the RMU softball team had lost 8 in a row. Not the results they were looking for despite a very long non-conference road trip. The team traveled to Johnson City, Tennessee for a 2-game series against East Tennessee State. Let's take a look and see how the Colonials did in this 2-game set that got moved to Sunday because of weather. Game 1, the Colonials lost 3-2 in 8 innings. Kaylani Tatro, the freshman, charged with the loss. She pitched 2 1/3 innings of 1-run ball. Despite the loss, she's still making an immediate impact. Kaylin Hoff went 1 for 4 with an RBI. And Elena Cutogiani also had an RBI. She went 1 for 3 with a walk. Taylor Suchi had the walk-off single for East Tennessee State in the bottom of the 8th. Sarah Muir, 3 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBI in game number 1.
And in game 2, as Cam Wickline would describe it, Jane Garver, dog. 9 innings pitched, 6 Ks, and just a 4-1 extra innings W. Matheny, 2 for 3 and an RBI, while Sacadora goes 2 for 5 on the day, and a big win to get back into momentum and prepare themselves for this upcoming Horizon League season for the Colonials. We'll see them back home soon enough. They spent a lot of time down south so far to start this season.
Yeah, that's just a huge effort from Jane Garver. A 9 innings, extra innings, complete game of just allowing 1 run. A huge effort from Garver in that win.
Kevin, do you know where to keep up with the softball team?
Where? Yeah.
You got to keep up with them on Colonial Sports Network. You'll find everything you need to know about RMU Sports. Follow us on RMU on Twitter at RMU_CSN. CSN provides a platform for student-produced sports content, including previews, recaps, podcasts, and featured stories. We got everything you need to know about RMU athletics. KP, what do we got coming up next?
Cam, when we come back, we're not dealing with extras. It's the main event, the top 5 plays of the week in Colonial Sports. Plus, we give you our games to watch. You don't want to miss it on CSC.
I don't remember how it started.
North of that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
there's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. It's time to get right into the top 5 plays of the week in Colonial Sports. Let's not waste any more time. Here they are.
It's springtime and top 5 plays are here. I'm excited to see what we got in store. We're going to start off RMU at Virginia, or they were in Carolina, taking on Virginia, and you'll see Tommy Mulliken with a diving play. Joel McCormick finds him through 3 defenders and dives and puts it in the back of the net.
Number 4, it's playoff hockey. RMU at Bentley. Colonials on the power play. Walter Zacher passes it to Tanner Kuhnke, who sneaks it past the Falcons goalie and scores, breaking the ice, no pun intended, as the Colonials start the scoring first.
Yeah, what a beautiful passing play by the Colonials. Their power play, 2 for 4 on the day, sparks them to that win. And we're going to move on to number 3. We're going to travel all around the United States up to Michigan, and you'll see Johnson. He even won down, finding Danny Voltage, who pump fakes, and as Colby Sherwin and Kevin Plaucha once said, whoop, as they fly by. Johnson finds Danny, throws it, whoop.
I was wondering if you were going to steal my not patented whoop that I stole from Colby Sherwin. Number 2, men's basketball at Purdue-Fort Wayne. Colonials just trying to stay in it. Purdue-Fort Wayne struggling against this Colonial zone. TJ Wainwright eventually is going to come up with the steal as Purdue-Fort Wayne tries to pass it back outside. There's Wainwright with the steal. It's one-on-one. He drives the lane, draws the contact, bucket, and the foul. A huge bucket from Wainwright as the Colonials tried to fight back. Well, obviously, we saw earlier they were unable to. But Wainwright with a big play. He's had a few of those this year, and he's pumped about it.
Number 1 play. Some might say a not top play, but we say it's a top play for us. Goaltender goes out, and you know what they say. If you're a goalie, 10 the goal! Score! Overtime winner, 10 seconds away from double overtime. All those sad people watching this game up in Massachusetts. That's right, we're moving on. Not you. Cameron Garvey with a wraparound goal. Go Colonials! It's over for Bentley's season.
It's called a goaltender for a reason. Make sure you tend the net. Those were the top 5 plays of the week. We're moving on to our games to watch. Cam, go first.
You know, that number 1 play gets me so excited for my number 1 game to watch. Game number 1 in Rochester, New York. RIT number 1 against the Colonials. Chad Veltri, 3.23 goals against average. He is up there in nominees for all the awards you could ever imagine. And he is going to be the backbone for the Colonials this weekend. I think it's going to be a huge game 1. As you see, RIT swept the season series 4-0, outscored them gigantically. And we'll see if Veltri can put the Colonials on his back and find the way to pull out 2 games. Kevin, how about you?
Yeah, it's going to be a big game against RIT. I'm going to women's lacrosse at Queens tomorrow at noon in Charlotte. Colonials looking for their first win of the season. They're going to be hungry for it. They're going to need more consistent play from grad student midfielder Colleen Tift, who leads the team in goals and points. For Queens, Kayleen Favreau is the one to watch. She leads the Royals with 13 goals and 21 points. They have 5 players with over 10 points, while RMU has just 1, Colleen Tift.
Yeah, I said earlier, the Colonials need to be more aggressive on offense, but this is it. We got spring break next week. We will see you in 2 weeks on CSC. This is Kevin Plaucha. I'm Cam McCarroll. We'll see you